Alright, so day 2 of week 2 on the road to deadlifting 320 kgs. So today's workout was my week 2 of squatting strength. So working up to 3 sets of 3 at 150 kgs, then backing it down to 3 sets of 5 to 8 for 115 kgs. And then I did barbell rows with three sets of 12 to 15 reps. Now unfortunately, due to time constraints, I had to switch up the workout. I couldn't do my stiff leg deadlifts, reverse lunges on the same night because I was stuck for time, so I did them the next day. So the squatting workout was done in the morning, Tuesday night, and the deadlifts, the stiff leg deadlifts, the reverse lunges, and I did hip thrusts as well, were done the next morning. So the squats moved fairly well. The 350 was surprisingly, or the 150 was surprisingly easy. My knees were a bit creaky, but I think that's because it was just a tough day. It was a long day. I was training at night, so if I trained a bit earlier in the day, I probably would have been a bit warmer. But overall, it moved well. Here I'm on to, I was at 100 kgs on the bar. Depth is good. You can see Hannah in the background there, very good training partner, and Pete chilling out on the bench. Pete, one of our dogs. So squatting was nice and deep there. Again, wearing my, like I said yesterday in the video, or day 5 video, using my Olympic shoes and my knee sleeves. One thing in regards to squatting, I'm using high bar squats here to build up my quads, and I don't use a belt when I'm doing high bar squats. I'll only use a weightlifting belt if I'm squatting really heavy for singles or doubles, and when the bar is low bar. I don't like using a belt. I don't like setting it up. I just don't generally like them, and I don't use them deadlifting either. But if you're serious about competitive lifting, you probably should use a belt. If you're just generally lifting for your health and wellness, you don't really need a belt. They just kind of probably compound problems because you're trying to lift heavier when probably lifting heavier isn't something you should be worrying about. So there, on to my first working set here. So at 150, depth was fine, so just doing sets of 3, keeping my knees up, my weight shifted slightly. I have a very bad problem, and I get knee pain in my right knee because I tend to shift the weight on my right foot forward over my toes. And if you get knee pain while squatting, it's probably because you push off your toes, and that leads to a lot of problems with people. So always try and keep the weight balanced on your foot, so your feet glued to the floor, so your toes, the midpoint foot, and your heel. When you start off squatting, a lot of people will tell you push off your heels, and that is good advice initially, but if you're getting better at squats, you need to make sure you've got balance all over your feet. And the bar, if you draw a line from the bar, it should literally go straight over the midline of your foot to the bar, to the side of the bar there. So there should be a straight line, should no deviation in the bar path. So onto the last set of 150. It moved well. I'm looking forward to getting back up in the squat. I haven't squatted over 180 in about a year. My previous best in the squat was 230, and that was, the depth wasn't very good in that, but that was my previous best, so I'm looking forward to that. If I can get to 250 in the squat while deadlifting 320, that'd be reasonable. That'd be okay. Nothing crazy, but it would be reasonable. So that's it. And with regards to lifting the weights, I'm doing this for me, so I want to be able to squat that. So here's my first back off set, doing 115 for 3 sets of 5 to 8, so getting the reps in and building up technique. I'm doing this for me, okay? The idea of these videos is that if I was a teenager, I'd want to know what to do, and that's the idea of these videos. So I want to show basically what it takes to get in shape, get stronger, get leaner, and put on a bit of muscle mass. No kind of shenanigans, no secret supplements, no secret recipes, just literally going through the motions. I know these videos can be kind of boring watching some workout, but this is what it actually takes to get in shape and get a bit of muscle on your frame, eating the right food, lifting weights consistently, increasing the weight you lift every week, increasing the volume of the weight you lift every week. It's not rocket science, thankfully. The hardest part realistically about weight training is consistently going to the gym, keeping your ego in check so you don't push it too hard, so you don't get injured, and that you can keep making progress. That is the hardest part of training, is consistently making progress. Like tonight now, myself and Hannah were caught for time, and we still went to the gym to do this workout even though we were very stuck on time. And even though I couldn't get my full workout in, which really did frustrate me at the time, I still got the main part of it in the squats. And a lot of people will find that, they're caught for time and they think like, oh, what's the point in going if I can't do the full workout? And that's not the right attitude to have. It's better to do a little bit, get that part done, as I said previously, and then work on the rest. So so these reps will move fine. It's really good varying the weight as well, letting my body kind of get used to volume again. So the 5 sets of 8, so I managed 8 in all the reps. The idea of doing 5 to 8 is that eventually I'll probably run into problems where 8 reps are just too tough and I'll have to stick it out 7 or 5s. And here I did barbell rows. Again, I do back work every day. If you want to be strong, you have to have a strong back. There's just no way around it. Your back braces you for the deadlifts, for the squats. You use your back even in bench press, for overhead press. And a big strong back keeps you nice and healthy, keeps you with good posture, and just looks generally good in t-shirts as well. So big bend over there and pulling my elbows in tight, really feeling back. Not using too heavy of weight, so just 70 kgs, just so I can feel my lats working. A big mistake people make with the bent over rows, they make it a hip movement more so than a row, which is if you're going for a different effect of it, then fine. But if you're literally going for hypertrophy on your back, which is what I'm going for, it should be your back is doing the work and not your hips. So that was the first part of the workout. Then the next day I went on to onto the stuff I should have done. So here I am doing stiff leg deadlifts. I haven't done stiff leg deadlifts in a long time and my hamstrings were broken after doing them last week, so I'm doing them again here. I worked up to 110 kgs. I did 100 kgs last week. You see my dad doing some face pulls there for his posture in the background, but really loading up my hamstrings, keeping my back nice and flat. If you struggle to keep your back flat on the stiff leg deadlifts, you should lift your neck up. That's not a good thing long term for your cervical spine, but it will help keep your back neutral until you learn that position properly. So just keeping my back flat, pushing my hips back towards the wall as hard as I can, really keeping the weight in my heels. And a good tip for doing any form of leg work, particularly the glutes and the hamstrings, is to imagine you're twisting your feet into the ground. So you're twisting your right heel right, your left heel left, like screwing them into the ground. That really engages your glutes, which makes the lifts a lot easier and really promotes kind of good technique as well. So they move nice and fine. One thing I will say this, as my hamstrings get a lot stronger, hopefully over this program, my grip strength will probably be the limiting factor in my forearm. So what I will do once that happens is I will start using wrist wraps, and wrist wraps are literally for when your wrist is your limiting factor in the weight. So if you're doing stiff leg deadlifts or you're doing deadlifts or reps and your grip is going before your hamstrings or your glutes or even your upper back or your traps, then you should wear wraps, because if you're working those, if those are the muscles you want to work, then you should be using something that lets you work those muscles properly. If on the other hand you want to work your grip, then yeah, you should just be using double overhand grip and just loading up the bar and lifting till your grip goes. So they all moved well, keeping my back flat. I have really long legs, so really tears the crap out of my hamstrings. Here we moved on to reverse lunges. I did this first set, I think, without any knee sleeves, and then I threw on the Reband knee sleeves, the 7mm ones, just to kind of protect my knees just as they touch the floor. So taking huge step backs. A lot of people when they do lunges don't take a big enough step back, and when you don't take a big enough step back, it puts your center of gravity off, and it can cause you naturally to tip your weight forward onto the toes of your front leg, is what you don't want. The way I think of doing reverse lunges is that my back leg is for balance and my front leg is doing all the work. So I'm literally pushing off the heel or pulling myself forward using the heel of my front leg. So really working the glutes and really stretching out the hips and my quads and my back leg. So worked up to 70 today for 3 sets of, I think I did 10 in the last one, but 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps on each leg. Lunges again are quite tough. They're, especially if you come from like a powerlifting background where you just do like heavy weights and low reps and like take 25-minute breaks between sets. If you're going like doing like 60-second breaks and you're doing like 20 reps at a bar on your back and your heart rate's through the roof, lunges and split squats and things like that can be quite tough because you're working major muscle groups for a lot of reps under a lot of strain. So I, to keep the weight up in the lunges, I'm going to do them on my back. If I struggle with them and I want to work my core a bit more, I might switch to a safety squat bar. If I could, I probably would add in some lunges with the front rack position, but to work my core more. But because I kind of want to focus on hypertrophy more, I want to lift a bit more weight, so that's why I'm using the bar, or using a barbell high on my back rather than my front. But if you want to use your core more, I would recommend doing lunges with the bar on your back. I don't do a lot of walk or forward lunges in my training because generally I find they hurt a lot of people's knees. If I was doing forward lunges, I'd make them the walking variety, so where you take big steps forward and pushing you off your heel. When I train people personally, I have them do walking lunges as opposed to forward lunges most of the time, because it's much safer on the knees, because you can kind of control better how they're doing it. When people use forward lunges, they put a lot of pressure on their knees, hurt their knees, hate lunges, and that's one thing I would always recommend people do instead of reverse lunges. So the lunges went fine, and then I finished off with some hip thrusts. Now the hip thrusts I've only started doing, this is literally my second week doing hip thrusts, and the last week I found them brilliant. I really felt a pump in my glutes doing them, so I added them in again today. So I'm probably going to try and fit them in somewhere twice a week. A big mistake people think of workouts is, you have to, like I said previously, get it all done in one day to get the benefit. If you can just add in some, even if you're in the gym for 15 minutes and you want to do an extra move, you can. So I just did some hip thrust there. I'm not actually extending my hips properly there if I look at the video, so I'm not squeezing my butt hard enough to lift my hips high enough. I think it's getting better there as the reps go on, but a big mistake people make with these is they think their butt has to start on the ground. You don't. You just have to basically your hips kind of sagging, and then you drive to your heels and squeeze your butt, pushing your hips straight. And all I do to tell people is I imagine you're holding a tray between your knees and your hips so that it's square like a table. So that was the workout. So the second set, just 3 sets of 12 to get a pump on my glutes. That was the workout. What's next? I think deadlifts is next. So that should be fun. That's the main meat of the workout. So hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you liked it, please like it and share it. And if you have any comments or questions, ask in the comments below. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Thanks again.